Be live. Now the trick is, can we share this?
Yes, we have the
Facebook.
technology.
The one tab I didn't bring up was Facebook. Hey, welcome to Technorama. We're just getting the last of the pre-show prep done. Kreg and I were doing some banter on the in the green room. Do we have a green room?
Yeah, it's right over there in the media corner.
Once again, Facebook great with the still shot on the camera.
Yeah, looks like you're kissing the mic.
We love our viewers. We love our listeners. And we are going to... How did we get 2 shares out of that already? I didn't share
shared
it
it.
yet. I didn't.
Oh, I don't
It
know.
was
Maybe
really quick.
Hey, did you see? I don't know if you've been on Facebook to look, but did you see my my avatar? I changed it to.
Was that one of your AI artwork ones?
Yeah, I look like Genghis Khan or something.
Let's see, Kreg Step.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you put your yeah.
I like the picture, but yeah, it looks a little strange.
This is the inventor of the Gregorian calendar from the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
And when I say Ottoman, I don't mean the actual empire. It's that little thing you rest your feet on at the end of the couch.
Yeah. You know, it does a good job picking up the nuances of your face. This is kind of strange.
It doesn't do crossed arms. So Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a keynote in Vegas for our Sales Kickoff Tech Summit. That's where all the solution consultants come together. And it's I'm introducing Dave Wright, our Chief Innovation Officer. And he is all about, what's coming in the future, watching these trends, and he's talking about AI. And he's got some AI artwork of himself, much like you did.
Yeah.
It's not very good at crossed arms.
Crossed arm. I've only had...
Some of these are really creepy because it's like an arm goes into an arm, but a hand is coming out of nowhere.
Oh, I kind of want to see that now.
It's really kind of creepy, scary. Like someone did.
Yeah.
So after he leaves the stage and I come back out, I'm like, thanks, Dave. No, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like we're back in early COVID times.
Well, I did all my selfies were really of the chest up, so it wasn't like I was doing anything like this. It was just pictures I've taken of myself, out walking the dogs or something.
Walking the dog. All right, shall we begin our podcast?
Why not?
We have some viewers. Thank you very much for people that are
Summit.
hanging out with us. If you are in the chat, give us a shout out. I know there's lots of US NFL football going on this weekend and tonight. You chose to watch us, or you're watching this later, or you're listening to us later. This part won't make it to the recording because we haven't hit record on the audio recording yet. That's what we're planning to do right now. So welcome to Technorama. This is a podcast all about tech, science, sci-fi, and we are going to be diving in the deep end of the pool tonight with some visuals. So thank you for watching this, and we will let the listeners know in a little bit that there is a visual component to some of this. We'll do our best to describe what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't bore
and
them.
By the way, just to let you know, we were experimenting, Chuck and I are experimenting with trying to do the show a little bit earlier. So hoping some more people can participate. We'll see what happens, but that's why we're doing it at 8:00 tonight. So if you missed us, sorry, but if you made it, welcome.
We need to modify the shout out to the chat room part, so it's 8 p.m. 8 p.m. at 80 p.m. There we go. Show notes updated, live updates. Okay, that should be the last of it. We may find some other things to modify as we go through the show. So here we go. I am going to hit the old record button and do the traditional starting in 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 698, The Book versus the Movie. Oh, hang on. I didn't have my sound effects ready. I was still in the pre-show prep. Yeah, I'm looking at it going, oh, it's still on the
Why'd you stop it?
Later.
Well, we should just let it going.
Stop the audio recording. No, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 698, The Book versus the Movie. Hello and welcome to Technorama, the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. And boy, are we going to be diving into the deep end of the pool tonight. My name is Chuck Tomasi from sunny Phoenix, Arizona. And right over there is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was just laughing because I just realized I made the title "The Book versus the Movie," and the last title of our last show was "Me on a Job Application versus Me in Real Life."
I'm just going to have this whole series through the whole 700
I,
series of episodes. It'll be
I
something.
might be doing that. I might
All
be
right.
doing that. Yep.
Godzilla versus Technorama.
That's
Who
right.
knows?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. If you tune into the Topicus track, you'll know that well, the catchphrase isn't original, so don't expect original titles on this show either.
Original title. You know what? I don't think I've actually.
I think we had like one repeat, but we never verified it. It's like
I
that
might.
sounds
I might have to
really
dump them out
familiar.
into a spreadsheet and do a compare because
Good luck.
I'm pretty sure. I think I've done pretty good over 18 years.
Well, how's your New Year's? Is off to a good start?
New Year's? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, doing pretty good. How about you?
Me too. Off to a great start. Looking forward to going to Las Vegas on Monday to deliver, or I'm going to co-MC a keynote on Tuesday for one of our
Okay.
work conferences. Each year we have a sales kickoff. This is the first time we've been together in person in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution consultants, who are the technical arm of our sales team, there's about 2,000 of them, 2,500 of them getting together in Las Vegas on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the whole rest of the sales team rolls in with partners and
Right.
everybody else. So they said, we've got a keynote. So the technical consultants have been doing a lot of their education virtually last week. This week, they get together in person just ahead of the rest of the sales teams. So we've got a keynote with some wonderful people speaking, and the senior vice president of solution consulting said, Chuck, would you like to be an MC? And I said, what?
I'm going to respectively decline. I'm sorry.
No,
Recline.
because this is part of my job right now, is building these relationships and
Right.
helping other teams so that we get
Mhm.
this synergy going, because that helps our team execute better when we've got these strong relationships with product, with sales, with other people in marketing, et cetera. It's just a good world.
It's funny you bring that up. Just chatting a little bit, some of the groups, even in the larger group that I'm in, we were talking about uh, operating in silos, and sometimes you don't necessarily communicate with other teams as well as you should. So that's something important. Don't stay in a
Yep.
silo. Get out and you know move around.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
work that into the CreatorCon keynote coming up into May. There's an old phrase that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to
mhm.
go farther, go together.
Hey, by the way, I thought it was funny. I said I did bring up the word silo, and I said that I think some of these groups work in silos a little too much. Now it's in everybody's messaging. I was like, I think somebody must have heard me. They're
Oh,
using the
we've been
same
using
word.
that term's been thrown around the company for
I know,
years.
but the way in the context, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see that in everybody's messaging. So, the
I think
people
it's
that
like
are
when you buy a Toyota Tacoma, you start seeing more Toyota Tacomas on the road.
that's not, I yeah, you're
How do we
no,
know
you're not
you weren't
wrong.
subliminally influenced by somebody else?
I'm talking about the people in my chain, are using that same.
You might have been
So,
influenced by somebody else, and now they said, "Hey,
never. I'm original, buddy. I'm all original.
we
Ain't
steal
nobody
so
like
much,
me.
it's not funny."
Yeah, ain't nobody like me.
Should we get
Hopefully,
into our feedback?
yeah. Let's do that.
We have a long show ahead. We're gonna try and keep it short.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Oh, boy.
Mail, 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 mail.
Oh, boy.
Reach right in and pull one out.
Oh, boy.
Those letters. I love those letters.
Oh, boy.
That's what you got to say.
Oh, girl.
Oh, my.
Mail today.
Oh, my. Well, we do have some letters for you. Well, we got feedback from our question of the week. Our question of the week last week is...
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
what? Wait a minute, what?
Drew likes your T-shirt.
Oh, Drew likes a T-shirt. He didn't see the rest, though. It says,
Show it.
I invested in
Show it.
Technorama. Then there's the astronaut laying on the moon. And on the bottom, it says, better than Bitcoin. That's a Chuck and Kreg original.
That's
And
right.
We came up with this like 2 weeks before FTX crashed. So now the shirt's even more funny. This is for our $5 patrons.
We were on the precipice of that wave, right? We knew.
Maybe we caused it. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
But we
that's
certainly
exactly
didn't
what.
see an influx from that.
No, that's right.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite T-shirt creations of 2022.
That was a good one.
I've got two. It's
Hey,
one
by
of
the
the
way,
top two.
Chuck and I are both going on the Star Trek cruise coming up late February,
That's right.
and I have a couple of T-shirts I'm bringing that I made.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this ought to be good. I'm not going to say anything else because I want
Okay.
you to be surprised, Chuck, when you see it.
Oh, you're not going to show me beforehand?
Nope. I want you to be surprised. I want you to be surprised. Well, maybe when they come, I might show you.
I can hold out, Craig. I can hold
Okay.
out. All right. Our question of the
can.
week last week was, what's 100% a scam, but we accept it in our society?
Oh, Brad Miller airs on the side of Pearl Jam concert ticket pricing. For sure.
Oh,
Pearl Jam.
okay. Are yours in a
Yeah.
different order than mine? Because that's not the top one that I saw.
It says most relevant, probably.
Yeah. And mine was Brad Miller's where he says, we take your privacy seriously statement just before breach disclosure.
Right.
He ought to know. He's in security
Well,
and like banking.
Yeah. Well, the concert pricing is crap. You know what really, not just pricing, you know what really sucks about getting concert tickets when the tickets are made available, like you're right there and all of a sudden a bunch of them are sold out. It's because all the radio stations and all that crap, special interests, get the first few
I
rows.
want to know how
So
they
you can never
set
get.
those prices.
It's not just the pricing; it's the availability. So you get
Yeah,
these
the
crap,
availability.
you're
talking about
immediately 3
Ticketmaster
rows.
for-
You're immediately several rows back because their tickets are already bought up. It's
if you can
ridiculous.
get them at all, like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Not that I've
So-
been to a Taylor Swift concert, but
So
Brian Parker says astrology.
is it a real thing? Is it a real thing? Mike Robinson says 1, the illusion of political choice. Okay, here we go again. Number 2, corporate customer care, aka the misery index. 3,
He's got a
science
list.
is settled. Huh? What's that?
He's got a numbered list. This
Yeah.
is going to take a while.
All right, let me see more. 3, the science is settled. That's like the complete opposite of what science is supposed to be.
No kidding.
4, newer is better.
Mhm.
I agree with that. Number 5, remaking, modernizing a classic is a good idea. True. Not well, mostly true. Yeah. And number 6, importance of professionalism. I added the ism part to sports. So yeah, it is
Steve
kind of
London
a scam.
says sales. There is no such thing.
Sales.
All righty.
So,
And
I
I
was
got one
think-
comment on mine. Sean Brockman says cable TV.
Mhm.
Yeah. $6 coffee. 6? You're buying cheap coffee now.
6. Wait a minute. You don't drink coffee. You don't even know what the price. You're like Rain Man, about $1. You know,
No,
you don't know what
$6
coffee costs.
coffee? I know what coffee costs, Craig. I
How do you know that?
walk into Starbucks with people like you that drop, $8, $9, or
I don't-
$10
I don't
easy.
spend that much on coffee. I don't spend that
There are
much.
those who do. And then
Yeah.
you get the
Oh, no.
$4 scone.
No, the only time I go to Starbucks is when we're out, like at Dragon Con or something like that, because I don't have an option, and I might spend up to $4, but that's the most. And I don't do that every day.
Hey, I'll spend that much on coffee if it scores me an interview with Edward James Olmos.
And we did that. That's the one time you did buy coffee, or did I buy it
I didn't drink it.
on your suggestion? No, you didn't. Nope.
He also says some cities forbidding rainwater collection and $6,000 for a single pill.
Wait.
Yeah, medical.
Wait. Whoa,
What?
whoa. A city is forbidding rainwater collection.
I've never heard that one before.
What?
Yeah, we're
That's
gonna have to look
stupid.
into that.
That's weird. I've seen people.
I don't know if I'd call that a scam though. A scam is where somebody gets your money. Like
Yeah.
mine was cloud storage. Seems like ransomware to me. We'll hang on to your stuff as long as you keep paying us for it.
Yeah. Oh, I got so many. I don't know if I want to go through them all.
All right, are we gonna read these?
Yes, I am. So
here?
I
Okay.
asked. So I played around with Chat GPT.
What does the
and I-
GPT stand for?
I'm not sure what that what that stands for. Anyway, the Chat GPT is obviously the AI chatbot that's going around.
Sweeping the nation.
Yeah,
Actually, the world.
it finally surpassed Eliza.
Eliza.
Do you remember Eliza?
Yes.
Which actually was pretty good at the time. Anyway, so I asked ChatGPT this question and a random past old question of the week. So 100% scam that we accept in society. It says, sure, let's see. What's 100% scam that we fail for hook, line, and sinker? Oh, I know. Again, this is quoting from the bot. The get rich quick scheme. It's like the ultimate too good to be true offer, promises of a quick and easy wealth with little or no effort. But just like a fisherman's tale of the one that got away, the scheme seems to slip away, leaving us empty-handed. So let's all be like wise old fish and avoid getting caught in these scams. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Here, let me read the next one. So the
Okay.
question of the week was, what older classic horror movie would you recommend? And the Chat GPT says, one classic horror movie that I would recommend if you're in the mood for a good old-fashioned belly laugh is Young Frankenstein, 1974, directed by Mel Brooks. This film is a parody of the classic horror genre and is packed with comedic moments and memorable characters. It tells the story of Dr. Friedrich Frankenstein, a descendant of the infamous Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who inherits a castle in Transylvania and decides to continue his ancestors' experiments by creating a monster of his own. This movie is known for its comedic take on the classic story and memorable performances by Gene Wilder, Peter Boyle, Marty Feldman, and Cloris Leachman. It's considered one of the funniest movies of all times and a must-watch if you're looking for a good laugh. Wow, that's sounds like they took it right out of the IMDb promo page or something, but where they came up with that one particular, that's more than our patrons have been writing.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what was funny was I asked it the question, and the first response was obviously similar to this, but each one of these questions, I had to say, make this more fun. And then they went, that's where he said, sure, let's see 100%.
Oh,
And
okay, right. And
it started
sure.
embellishing some. And you know
Gotcha.
what just saddened me? I realized that Gene Wilder, Peter Boyle, Marty Feldman,
All
and
gone.
Cloris Leachman are all gone.
Yep, Mel's the only one left.
Yes, and History of the World Part 2 is about to come out.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I saw the little
It's only
teaser
40
for it.
years after.
Yeah.
They had to make more history, I guess.
Hey, if we get more Mel Brooks, I'll take it. I don't care.
Right. One last hurrah. Let's see
Yeah.
if he can get banned from, the MPAA forever.
I know. I wonder.
Blazing Saddles Part 2. No.
Yeah, I'm wondering what will he get away with? Or
So
can
in
get
some
away
respects, you can get away with a lot more. In some respects, you can't.
with. Yeah. Well,
All right, let's close out the feedback. We'll have another question of the week for you at the end of the show.
Another letter from our listener, Dave.
Keyboard sounds like my fingers all week. On this day in history for January 18th, 2023, this is the 18th day of the year. I love January. You don't have to think about what day it is.
right.
There are 347 days remaining in the year. It was on this date in 1778 that James Cook was the first known European to discover the Hawaiian Islands, which he names the Sandwich Islands.
He probably had one in his hand when he rolled up there. Oh, I know what
No,
I'll
he
call
named
this.
it after Lord Sandwich,
Yeah.
who actually invented the sandwich. But okay,
Oh,
moving on.
Thanks for ruining my joke.
Anytime.
Thanks, Chat GPT.
Sure.
235 years ago today, the first elements of the first fleet carrying 736 convicts from Great Britain to Australia arrived at Botany Bay. Botany Bay.
Botany Bay. We have to get out of here. An X-ray generating machine was exhibited for the first time by H.L. Smith on this date in 1896.
And it was also on this date in 1977 that scientists identified a previously unknown bacterium as the cause of the mysterious Legionnaire's disease.
It took till 1977. Legionnaire's disease, you think that's like, 1918 or something.
Yeah.
They didn't know what was causing it until 1977. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Although 1977 is almost 50 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, yeah, you're closer to 1918 almost at that point. It was on this date in 1981 that Phil Smith and Phil Mayfield parachuted off a Houston skyscraper, becoming the first people to base jump from objects in all 4 categories: buildings, antennas, spans, which is also bridges, and earth or cliffs.
All right. And happy birthday goes out to, on this date, American assistant to Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas A. Watson, born on this date in 1854.
Watson, come here. I need you, quick.
What? I think it's a crank call.
Your car's insurance. Your car's, what is it?
Your car insurance is about to
No,
expire.
your maintenance. Your Watson, come here, quick. Your automobile's insurance. Anyway, we'll get there eventually.
Chuck, move it along.
Austrian Dutch physicist and academic Paul Ehrenfest was born 143 years ago.
Yeah, and Oliver Hardy, the American actor and comedian, was born 131 years ago today. I just saw a picture of them two out of character, just like a regular picture with them just hanging around. It's kind of interesting to see. Yeah, it was interesting.
A Russian mathematician and academic Ivan Petrovsky was born 122 years ago today.
And Cary Grant, the English-American actor, was born 119 years ago today.
Cary Grant?
That's right.
He was on the Flintstones.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he
Stoney
was.
Curtis was too. Japanese-American physicist and academic Nobel Prize laureate Yoichiro Nambu was born 102 years ago today.
And born January 18th, 1933, American engineer and businessman, founded Dolby Laboratories. Wait for it. Ray Dolby.
Not Thomas Dolby. He was not around in 1933.
No, later on. He came around.
American actor, director, and producer Kevin Costner was born on this date in 1955.
And American astronomer Amy Barger was born, is 52 today. I'm so used to reading the "was born on" part.
It does, circulate these around, but it doesn't repeat.
Yeah.
American biochemist and academic Michael Kearney was born on this date in 1984. Listener birthdays this week include Michael Rabelais on the 21st of January, TAW012294. Why aren't you at your post?
Yeah, what?
Oh, it's his birthday on the 22nd. That's why he's not at his post. Kathy Luke on the 23rd. Chris Moody on the 23rd. Keith Lane on the 23rd. Many of these people have a podcast of their own.
That's
and
right.
Cynthia Fry on the 24th. Happy birthday to all of you. It means we're getting eerily close to that auspicious date of January 25th, which we'll save for next week.
Yeah.
We know somebody's birthday on the 25th.
Yeah,
That's the way it was on this day in history for January 18th, 2023. All
right, play him out. Close the door.
Okay, if you want to get on the birthday calendar, we forgot to mention this to you. We could have played the music for this part too. You go over to chuckchat.com/birthday. Craig's going to put the lower thirds on there for the people that are on the video. chuckchat.com/birthday. I have to say it slow because I know some people listen to double speed, and I already talk at double speed, so I'm trying to slow down.
Hey, chuckchat.com.
The podcast that gets 4 hours worth of content into 30 minutes.
That's right.
We will give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year. And if it's your birthday this week and you're not on the calendar, somewhere between the 18th and the 24th of January, happy birthday to you. We wish you all the best. Another trip around the sun. Maybe if you get your name on the birthday, we'll give you a shout out next year. Thank you very much.
Here you go. A couple of, delayed comments. I just happened to see this. I think he was talking about the scams, water rights.
Water rights.
Yeah. Got a government. Yeah.
Yep. Government's 100% scam.
That's right.
They take your money. What do you get?
Yeah. I still maintain insurance is kind of a scam.
Okay. We have some news.
Good news, nobodies.
Well, this is good news because science has discovered a way to reverse aging in mice. And they haven't tried it on humans yet, but this is a step in the right direction. Now, if you've kept up with the times, you know that, we all age, get old, and die.
Yep.
And science is working on ways to understand.
When did this happen?
Yeah. News flash happening since the beginning of time.
Right.
Well, they actually found ways to reverse the aging anywhere from what is it, 25 to 50% of the age of the person. So if you were to take like me, I could be as young as half of my age, or more likely it'd be more like 3/4 of my current age. But
Well,
hey,
in all fairness, I'm accused of acting like a 12-year-old, but I don't think that
I
really.
was just interacting with 3 teenage boys, my nephews this afternoon, and yep,
Oh,
that was coming out.
oh.
It's a fairly long article, lots of great stuff. It talks about, the DNA, the epigenetic, changes, the proteins that are involved with this. So your DNA
I think.
doesn't actually tell you what's aging or what's going
Well,
on with the DNA. The proteins are what drives the DNA. It's kind of an
well,
interesting learning
yeah.
article.
I think one of the things that stuck out to me was they were saying that even though as you age and your DNA breaks down, there's actually a backup. There's
Yes,
a blueprint of it still
unlike
there.
the
So
FAA, they have good backups. Couldn't
that's
resist.
what happened. Their DNA broke down at the FAA. Anyway.
I I
So anyway, that kind of
couldn't
stuck
help
out to me, and I thought that was interesting because
yeah.
you always were told that as your DNA unravels as you get older, you're kind of screwed. But
It's
apparently
all
there's a
about the telomeres, my friend. It's all about the telomeres. The opening paragraph cited something, and I didn't really see him coming back to it. It says, "In Boston labs, old blind mice have regained their eyesight, developed smarter, younger brains, and built healthier muscle and kidney tissue." It's like, hey, I'm into that because my kidneys are on their way out. On the flip side, young mice have prematurely aged with devastating results to nearly every tissue in their bodies. So they can. They also said that they can do this process more than once. So if you're 80 years old and you do run through this process, whatever it is, in the next 10, 20, hopefully before we die, we can run this cycle at least once. And you get reset back to say 50 years old, you could get another 30 years and reset it again. How many times can you do this? The world has already got record population. If we extend the lifetimes, it means we're going to have
Mhm.
even more population. Is this really a good
Yeah.
thing? Just because you
I
can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing.
Well, there is something about mortality that makes you rethink some of your goals and some of the ways you act in life. So I don't know if that's
I
it's gonna be a tough thing to change. But I remember reading is a story a long time ago. It's more like an article talking about uh what happens if people could just live for almost an infinite amount
Well,
of time.
you're not
And it
indestructible. You can still,
no, you
get
can still
hit
have a
by a
car
car
accident.
and die,
Yeah.
but you
No,
it
no.
just fewer people will be dying of, like, kidney failure or heart
No,
failure.
this
I mean, you still have to take care of the body you've got. It's not like, "Oh, I can eat donuts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day and not
no,
have to worry because this will reset it." It's not going to fix
no, but
arteriosclerosis. I can't even say the word, but hardening of
well,
the
this
arteries.
the story that I was reading, if I remember right, it was talking about uh this couple. They were married. They actually separated because they were together for so long, and they
Mhm.
decided to have different lives. And then the things that they did, and they ended up getting back together. But um, so they ended up having a a less traditional life like you would see nowadays. But it was like things would diverse. Had kids with other people, and but yeah, we better be a multi-planet species if we're going to have that many people around.
Which is a great segue into the next article, because we seem to have found another Earth-sized planet orbiting a habitable zone.
Let's
Uh,
go.
all right,
Beer
yeah,
run.
I'm sure it's right across the street.
Almost. Well,
They called the planet TOI 700E, which, yes, there is
yeah.
they didn't say there was an A, but they said the other planets are named B, C, and D, and this one is in the habitable zone or the Goldilocks zone. In fact, there's multiple categorizations of the Goldilocks zone.
Hmm.
It interestingly enough, it has an orbit of what was it, 37 days.
Sounds like it's moving pretty
No,
quick.
28 days. D is 37 days. D is a little
Yes.
further out. So, yeah, if you imagine a month is now a year, you'd have seasons all over the place. It's like, wow, it's spring. Next week is fall. Like when you get to my age, that's about how it feels. Wasn't
Yeah.
it just summer last week? Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's 2 years ago. Hmm.
So they continue to find more and more exoplanets, and these are some of the smallest ones they've ever found. So they've got detection systems. They said that the TESS program, which stands for Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, ended in 2020, but they actually extended this one a year because they had enough data to continue the research and went, yeah, look what we found. So
Mhm.
they're finding smaller and smaller planets, which is kind of cool. But I'm sure we're not going to just be able to take off and go to this one,
I
in a
wish that
couple of years.
no, but I remember reading again. I brought this up several times over the years, but I'm reading Dr. Michio Kaku's uh, book. I forget which one now, but he was talking about using miniature satellites, being able to sling those, even sling them around the sun or whatever, and get them going at a high velocity to send them to places like this. It doesn't take a lot of fuel, and they can get it really fast. Why don't, as soon as they detect this, why don't we have like a little army of satellites that can just throw some and start trying to investigate? Even though it'll be years down the road till we start finding out what it's detecting. Why don't we do that right
Space
now?
is really big, Craig.
I
It,
know.
it
I
would
said
take years just to get to the nearest star. If they're finding
right.
these
I
things that
know.
are,
I'm not saying
even 150,000 light years away, now you
yeah.
can't move at the speed of light, but let's just
Right.
say, for sake of argument, that you could get to 90% of the speed of light with these little
Mm,
satellites. We're not going to be around in 250,000 years and get the signal back of what they found.
no, but that's my point. Is why don't
Right.
we have something we can send there now
Yes.
to for future humans to be able to investigate sooner.
I'm not
I'm not
so
saying it's
optimistic to think future humans will be around in 250,000 years.
you never know.
I think we're
You
already
we're
on
gonna
death's
we're we're,
doorstep with
we're gonna
climate
turn it. We're
change.
gonna evolve into light beings and become one with the energy and the evolve. Yeah. Oh boy. All right.
Alright, there we go. Alright, let's get into the hacks and strange stories. I wanna show you something I'm working on. And I know this is a very visual topic, so we're gonna do our best to describe it. I've been working on a project for our upcoming conference. We made a Jeopardy game years ago, and we had some uh, buttons that we used to play that. They were somewhat successful. They were commercial things that I bought off of Amazon for another purpose, but they
Yeah.
didn't interact with the game itself. They were simply a way to push a button and a light lights up so I know who hit the button first. But you had to be good at hitting the button because they were somewhat touchy. People were smacking these things going, I hit it. It didn't light up. Craig remembers this.
Oh yeah.
So I said, I can make my own. Back in October, somebody said, could we play another game, American game show called Family Feud? And I said, great. We'll get more players. We can have competing teams, et cetera, et cetera. But we need that tactile button pushing so somebody can get there and the game lights up itself. So I started working on the service now side of it, the display, the questions, and some of you may have seen my questions that have gone out on LinkedIn. This is data that I'm going to feed into the actual gameplay itself. And so the web page piece of it is done. The host controller piece of it is done for the most part. I mean, there's still testing, quite a bit of testing to do. Then I turned my focus to the actual hardware. And thanks to the collaboration I'm doing with Ideas, my teammate Jason McKee up in the Seattle, Washington area, we've been architecting this, and it's been evolving over the last few weeks. So we're at a stage where I'm going to show uh, a camera angle of what I've prototyped, and then I'll show you like I'm getting into 3D modeling, schematic capture, printed circuit board layout. These are new areas for me, and it's if you've hung around a maker fair or maker, what do they call them? Maker space,
Yeah.
you may have done some of this as well. But I've found it very enlightening, and it's a good thing I was paying some attention when I worked for electrical engineers, printed circuit board engineers, mechanical engineers
Right.
at my previous job. It's been 15 years since I had to look at any of this stuff or even think about it, but it, it's it's kind of fun. It really is because it takes it to another level and it gives you a complete picture of that product realization from idea to prototype to software to hardware to mechanical to and one of the things I found interesting was how the different components interact with each other. So as I was going through iterations of this, originally I had like 4 or 5 buttons because things on Amazon were coming in packages of 5. So I said, let's make it 5 buttons. And I hooked those directly up to the Pi. And I said, when a button is pushed, my Node-RED application will do X, send a message off to the ServiceNow instance, and something happens with the gameplay. Cool. Then Jason says, going directly to the GPIO pins, I found that I'm going through Pis. They start to break down. I went, ooh, don't want that, because if you've been paying attention, Raspberry Pis are really expensive now. This one that I'm holding here is, let's say 3B, not a 3B plus, but they've gone up to from like $35 or $40 a pop. They're now about $170 a pop.
What? Whoa! Which one is this?
The Raspberry Pi, like a 3B
The regular
plus.
one?
Yes.
They've gone up that much?
Yes, because the chip supplies, the processors, the ARM processors are really hard to get. It's just ridiculous pricing right now. They're next to impossible. So I had 5 3B pluses, and I wanted 3B pluses because the 3Bs are 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and they don't work so well at our conference. But the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi works great, and that's what's on the 3B plus. So I built up a mock-up of that, and I started doing the button pushing and went, yay, I push a button, it fires relays. I need relays because there's 12-volt LEDs on the buttons themselves, and I want those to light up. Where if you know, Pis and everything else run at 5 volts. So as I was doing some of this, Jason would throw out little challenges like, hey, bonus points if you can make a custom PCB for this. And I went, challenge accepted.
Uh-oh.
So I took what I learned off of the mock-up. I'm gonna turn on my it's a little jittery for some reason. I'm gonna turn on the camera for my. There we go. So this is my mock-up on a breadboard. There's the Arduino Nano.
Yep.
That saves wear and tear on the Raspberry Pi GPIO ports because it's communicating now through USB. So when I push button 1, which will be an external module, button 2 or button 3, it will register that, fire the relay. You got to see this. When I push the button,
Ding.
the relay light up.
Yep.
And it also, I got to show you on my screen. I'm going to do one more screen share here. Where is it? Okay. Do the screen share.
Raise the camera up a little bit. I can't see.
There we go.
Oh, there. Oh, screen share. I got it.
So I'll do the screen share. So when I push the button and it fires the relay, then you know that the developer advocates on the left-hand side scored versus button 2.
That's cool.
Would be the solution consultants.
It's pretty quick too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Now, granted, I'm not playing in a conference environment.
This is
I
beta.
have my host controller over here. So when somebody says, and I say, name a standard out-of-the-box table extended from task, and somebody says incident, I press this, and it brings up incident. And there is the traditional bell. It goes ding really loud.
Yeah.
You may not have heard that.
You need to have. All right. Challenge. Here's a challenge where you have incident right there. It needs to like flip.
I'm not going to get into the CSS behind that nonsense.
Oh, come on.
No,
you can build a PCB board, but you can't.
I was also thinking about we need all the lights on the board, and actually that made it really hard to read. I took them off. Not to mention scalable and all this stuff was just. And if they get one wrong, I push the button. Right? Or we've got the full experience here.
I'm not going to do the whole
gameplay, but of course that led to, this was all built in the service portal on ServiceNow, so I can show you it's Angular JS code if you're interested. This part wasn't too difficult. I mean, I've got my client script, I've got my server script, I've got little bits and pieces that plug in all over the place, lots of templates for the answer board, the fast money, different modules that fit in here. So a lot of Angular JS code happening there. Then you get down to the nitty gritty. Let's start with that Nano again. Oh, I don't have the Nano is written with typical Sketch. There's an IDE for Arduinos. I don't have that available on this screen, but that is available as well. I'm gonna make this open source so people can contribute to it as well. So it's watching the buttons, not a whole lot of code going on here. I mean, I commented the bejesus out of this thing and broke a lot of it down into functions, but at one point it was probably about 70 lines of code. Now it's more like 270 because I introduced more complex objects and found some routines to make things a little easier to do. So when it gets a button push, you could run any game without a ServiceNow thing. If you just wanted the controller box and several buttons, you could play
Mhm.
any game you want. They'd light up and they wouldn't make any noise, but they'd light up and you'd see it with the Nano and as many modules as you need. So I made this expandable up to 8.
Okay.
So that's the whole point of that. I'll show you the 3D model of what I've been building. So here's the 3D model. This is still in work in progress, so don't blame me for anything. The
Oh, we blame you for a lot, but okay.
the button module uses a 60 millimeter push button, and it will have an LED on top. This cutout on the side is for an RJ45 port, which will connect to the RJ45s back here. So this is my box
You need to
that
get
has
some. You need to get some nice cloth covered RJ45 cables.
cloth covered.
Yeah, yeah, flexible. Yeah, make it look nice,
RJ45
man.
cables are normally flexible, dude.
I know. I
What
I know. I'm saying, you ever seen some of those?
there's also a matter of cost here.
No,
But
you
I
ever seen some of
discovered
those
you can make a printed circuit
Okay.
board for like 40 cents in small quantities. I'm ordering 5 of these things because that's the minimum order size. But I made a 3D model with.
So you have backups.
Huh?
So you have some backups.
Oh yeah, I'll have backups, no doubt, because I don't want to go to a conference and be left alone, dead. So I'll run 12-volt power in here. The Nano can take 12 volts. This circuit board is running on 12 and sending 12 and 5. So this red box back here is what they call a buck converter. It's let me pull that back. Here. Highlight that, focus that. The red box underneath is a buck converter. It's a basic power supply. It takes 12 volts in and I can tap 5 off of it.
Mhm.
Couple of fans on the side. The Pi is up above with a cutout for its ports. And then I've got some ventilation in here to let airflow go through because Pis don't get real happy. So the main controller box is this circuit board with the RJ45s and the Nano doing what my breadboard is doing. The Pi, which is what my Pi is doing, the Nano gets a key press, sends a JSON payload to the Pi over USB, cleans up the wiring because I don't have a whole bunch of little wires running everywhere from the Pi to the Nano. Like, hey, USB. That gets picked up by a Node-RED application. Now, this is just the initial configuration and some subroutines, but the button watcher is sitting here going, hey, anytime I get input from the Nano, I'm going to convert it to JSON, figure out what I'm going to do with it. Is it the key was pressed or the key is available? What button was it? And then send that message off to the ServiceNow instance via a REST API. Then ServiceNow gets it and goes on. So I've been doing the 3D modeling in Tinkercad. This is a free application on the web. There's like standard and then there's professional or something, but I don't know what it gets you, but I'm having fun doing what I'm doing just here.
Yeah.
Then I got into how to make that PCB. Start with schematics. This is called Easy EDA. Literally all I did was look up free EDA tools on the web. you can use local versions of this. My Arduino's at the top. So we got scrolling in and out isn't working too well.
That's okay. We can see, Yeah.
I've got my block here. These are parts libraries that you can pick right from there. There's also user contributed. You've got my pull down resistors, all the wiring to the ports, and then you go over to the PCB layout thing and say route it out. And it routes things. You can do some fine tuning, like I wanted my power to go right from the power connector to U2, which feeds the buck converter, not through the connectors finally up here. So I tweaked a couple of things just in the main power routing. And then it renders a 3D view for you. So this
nice.
This is the 2D photo view, and you can see the front side or the back side. And I can also go back to my PCB and say 3D, and it goes, "Here you go."
Ah, here we go.
And this is where it gets really sexy because they even have a model built in for the Arduino, so you could visualize this stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't add the connectors here, or they didn't have a 3D model of it. Like, let's see the backside.
Hmm.
Cool. So this is what it's gonna look like when it's all built out, and this is actually cheaper than me going and buying wiring kits and fasteners
And
and
the time.
the time and the reliability. So if this thing is traveling on the road up to Las Vegas, nothing
Yeah.
jostles loose, I am gonna socket the Arduino just so I have a quick hot swap program for that as well. So it was interesting to see
Right.
how one thing impacted another. For
Mhm.
example, when I was on the schematic, I had these alternating wires. It's like one went to the left, one went to the right, one left to the right, because the ports are odds and evens, like odd down one side and evens down the other. And
Okay.
I just went port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4, port 5, and it was like, now I got wires crossed all over the place.
Mhm.
I'm not this is not my day job, so forgive me if the schematic looks like garbage to a real
No,
professional
I think
electrical engineer.
it looks good to me.
It's all right. It's probably got some faults. But when I said, "I don't like all these crossed wires," so I cleaned up the schematic, which also meant that my ports now changed. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 firing the relays, it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4,
Oh,
6, 8.
you're right.
All that means is when I get back to the nano code, I just change the ports in an array and it's fixed. Like, so it was kind of curious to see how does that happen. I also had a ninth button on here that did not fire a relay. It was simply a hardware refresh because if I change games, I got to tell the Pi, "Hey, we're going to be sending messages to this different set of records. Here's the here's the ID I want you to throw on there." Well, I thought I needed that because the Pi was originally going to be inside the enclosure,
Yep. Right.
inaccessible, and Jason came out, he said, "Why don't you just say, 'Raise that thing up, we'll figure out the support structure on the 3D CAD later. Raise it up and put a little teeny display, like one of those 2.8 or 3.5-inch
Mhm.
TFT displays
Yep.
on the Pi, and then just show it through a window.'" I was like, "Oh, I don't need that ninth button anymore," even though I could drive it. I was just
Mm.
enough ports to do that. I said, "That also saved me when it came to the PCB, like, because that button was huge. It took up like 25% of this dang board."
Oh my gosh. Right.
So I said, "If I get rid of the button, the board size goes down, the complexity goes down. It's just much easier."
And
So
cheaper.
that was
Probably a little cheaper.
a little cheaper. I mean, the button was maybe 12 cents.
Oh my gosh. Breaking
We're
the
not
bank.
talking, yeah, rocket surgery here.
And you're complaining about me
Mm.
saying get some nice cloth covered Ethernet cables. I mean, come on.
When you add all this up to build with the
Mhm.
PCBs, the Pis and the displays are gonna be the hard part. The unit cost, and the buttons, I didn't do the button cost, but to build out the 5 button modules, not counting the 3D printing costs yet, uh, we're over $300. So I do need to be a little
Oh.
cost conscious. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
So, most of that is the Pis, which I already have.
Right.
The displays are about 45 bucks a piece, but by 3D printing it, we get to make whatever we want rather than
Mhm.
going out and buying a $49 thing and trying to cut some holes in it, and
I
it
was say, but you already saw this. You bought a $12 toy off eBay or whatever it was. Remember
No,
at
that
the
was like 80 bucks. That was
80
not a
bucks?
Yeah, that was not a cheap toy.
You still got it, right?
But yeah, the size of this has come way down because I'm working with other people, and this is kinda one of the points that I wanted to make about before the show started. If you wanna go fast, go alone. When
Mhm.
I came up with this enclosure, originally it was 15 by 15 inches, okay?
Right.
Now it's more like 4 by 10 or
Yeah.
4 by 6. Excuse me, 4 by 6.
Yeah. But
So
see,
the size has come down. We can actually fit this on a traditional 3D printer and 3D print
Mhm.
that case.
So it's all the moral of the story is externalize your ideas to somebody and you can improve upon yourself.
Yes. Share with others and you will now it is
Yes, you
taking
will get
longer,
shared
but
upon.
we've got until May to get this
Mhm.
done. So I'm not too,
What's the
overly
turnaround time between ordering the PCB and then getting it?
a couple of weeks. It's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, the other thing that kinda startles me is This is stuff we used to spend tens of thousands of dollars for a single software package to do the
Yeah.
3D modeling or the
Or
schematic capture. Now,
or a
granted,
team to do the design and then send it
and now you
off.
can
And
pull up free tools on the internet and have something a couple weeks later. That just
well,
it
and
boggles my
and
mind.
and to your point, if it was something that had some logic to it, you could
Yeah.
actually there's simulation for the electronics. You can make sure it works.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
I don't know that Easy EDA has simulation tools, or maybe that's part of the premium program. I don't need that, so I didn't really care. But it's,
No, but I'm just saying to your larger point, what you can do at home just with these tools. It's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
it makes me wonder how the commercial programs are staying relevant. Because if this is available to anyone, why wouldn't I, run my company on this?
Mhm.
Now that may be like saying, you could run your company on, a few $100 NAS, or you could go out and buy a significant server farm, or you could do it in the cloud. There's
Mhm.
options based on scale
Yeah.
and requirements. I'm not going to run a multi-billion dollar company on household NASs that I get off Amazon.
Right. Right. Right.
You need the reliability or your customers will dump you. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting prospect, and it certainly encompasses a lot of what I've done over the last 40 years, from basic electronics in high school to computer science in college to working with engineers that do 3D modeling and schematic capture, and right up through the ServiceNow piece. I feel like this really covers the whole gamut of things that I've done and some things that I've just observed. Like, I used to stop by the PCB engineers and, know quite a few of them, keep in touch with them over the
Hey,
years.
what are you doing? Hey, what are
Well,
you doing?
and I would say, "Well, how come you don't just draw, a straight
Yeah.
line from here to here?" In fact, I remember we used to have a mural in the basement of our old building, and any engineer worth their salt would walk by and go, it was just colored circles and lines to simulate what a circuit board would look like. The big green dot is connected to the blue dot, and somebody would always walk by and go, "There's a 90-degree angle on that thing. You're not supposed to do that because it'll, cause electrical problems with your
Oh
circuit."
yeah. Right.
So everything is at 45s. So as I'm doing this layout and I'm watching some of the basic videos of how to get started with easy EDA, it's like, "Man, you wanna use a 45-degree angle?" It's like, "I knew that."
Yeah. I knew that. I knew that. That's awesome.
So
Hey,
kind of
well,
fun. I'm still learning.
and by the way, this you talking about that dovetails into one of the stories I had at the end here was this open source soldering iron.
Yes, I saw that. I'm kinda curious to get one.
I'm I don't solder as much as I used to, but I'm tempted to get it because I think it's really
I
cool.
get into
Anyway,
projects like this, and I do, because the
all
nanos
right,
don't come with pins on them, because you don't know if you want them
yeah,
socketed, do you want them wired to the board? I've got if I've got these circuit boards coming in, I got 8 resistors to put on there. I got the nano socket to put on. I gotta solder in all 64
you might
pins
want
of
that
that.
then. You might want that
I
then.
might. I mean, I've already got one. It's a repurposed one from my old
I've got an
job.
old Radio Shack style. It's like
No, I've
it's all
got
right.
I can't remember the brand, but this is like a professional grade one. Well, it
Mine's
was
literally the
professional
one
grade 25 years ago.
mine's literally the one I bought from Radio Shack before they closed. It
So you
works,
can't
but
return it.
uh no, I cannot return it. All right, well
I'm
let's
having
move on.
fun. It's like every morning I get up and I had another thought about, "Oh, I gotta put a mounting bracket here. Oh, I should
Oh
make the
no.
hole on the PCB bigger."
Oh yeah.
It
Yep.
just sucks me in completely, and that's when I know I'm having fun,
That's
is
right.
when it's like, I gotta get to church in 5 minutes."
Yeah, that's right. All right, well
Alright, moving right along.
let's hurry up. We're running out of time here tonight.
Shout out to the chat room. Important note here is we only have a few viewers tonight, but we are moving our broadcast time from Sunday at 9:30 Eastern Time to Sunday at 8 PM Eastern Time. So we moved it up an hour and a half. We used to be at the old time originally because Craig put his son to bed and then he would come podcast. Well, his son
Yeah.
is now grown, out of college, and has a
I still
job.
put him to bed. I'm just kidding. I don't
Yeah,
do that.
I read him bedtime stories over Zoom.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're right. That was something that uh I did. I would talk to him for a little bit and then read him a story, or he would until he got to where he was reading. Yeah, that was the reason why we did this so late. And
Yeah.
you know, so anyway.
So hopefully, a few more people can join us a little earlier for the Eastern time zone people, a little earlier for Drew joined us, but he doesn't sleep. He just keeps drinking Coca-Cola.
That's right.
I'm convinced. He's over in the London area where it's, oh dark 30.
Hey, by the way, you just got me thinking. It's one of those moments you think, oh crap, how long have we been doing this? Harrison was 2 when when we started this thing. Now he's gonna be 21 in March. Oh boy.
Yep. Goes fast. Goes fast.
Yeah.
He was 2 in May of 2005.
Yes.
Wow. A whole generation has grown up while we sit here and babble into the
All
microphone.
right, so let's quit wallowing in our own old age and let's move
Okay.
right along.
Let me bring the sound effects back up because we got to do
Yeah.
the patrons now. So, patrons, thank you very much. Another year has started and our budget is laid out, and you are a key part of that process. Thank you very much to everybody who's contributed: Alexis Duran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris Martinez. Some of you get cool shirts like this that say, I invested in Technorama.
That's right. Yeah.
If you're interested, you can always upgrade. Thank you, Chris Martinez and Chris MC, Dandy Man Coyer. I always want to say Dandy, like Dandelion. It's Dan,
Right.
letter D, man. Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, John Clifford, John Noble. Oh, I just watched Return of the King. I started watching Return of the King last night. I've been on a Lord of the Rings kick this last week. We'll get to that when we get to our movies and whatnot in the next segment. Yorga Shrawan, Crazy Joe Adventures, Kyle Nishioka, thank you. Leon, thank you. Mark, thank you. Brad, Mike, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, Steve Therian, Steve Cody, Steve London, and Tim Cook. You people are the ones that make this show happen. We just smile and make smart remarks.
It's your fault.
Enablers.
That's right.
Oh, where's my music? Okay, there we go. Bye, music. Okay. And on to Pass Me the Remote. Well, I already tipped my hand. I watched Lord of the Rings Fellowship and Two Towers and then started Return of the King last night. And these are multi-sitting shows because I for whatever reason, I'm like finishing one thing and then I start another. I can't like start at the beginning of anything and finish it in one night. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll sit down and go, what was I watching? Oh, I'm halfway through this. And I'll finish it up and then I'll start something else. So that was kind of how the James Bond thing went a few weeks ago. I'm not
if you're
doing a very good job of managing my time on movie watching.
I know they the James Bond, they just kind of lead one and the other, and you can just continuously watch those. There's no shortage of them either.
Right.
Well, speaking of Bond,
yes,
not quite Bond, but I was watching Jack Ryan season 1 and 2. There's a third season already out, but saving and watch that with Kim, my wife. But Jack Ryan season 1 and 2, I really enjoyed that. This is Jack Krasinski is playing Jack Ryan, who has been played by Harrison Ford, Ben Affleck, Chris Pine, and Alec Baldwin. I didn't realize how many people had played him. But yeah, the story is really good. I love the way they have it played out. There's 8 episodes in each season, but Jack Krasinski does a great job in making a presence of somebody that's determined to, not let something go and really see it through. I thought he did a great job as well as everybody else's on the shows. So I highly recommend this. This is good.
I love that series. We just watched season 3 a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yep. Very good stuff. It continues on with, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but
yeah, please don't.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Kim and I are going to watch it. She watched a little bit. She's already seen the first 2 seasons, but she watched a little bit with me. And I finished it off last night and was ready to watch season 3. So yeah, good. Very good.
And then in the vein of, go ahead.
Oh, and I'm not going to say much about it because you talked about it last week. I also watched the Inside the Minds of Cats.
What did you think?
And some of it kind of knew, or it was obvious, but some things I thought it was interesting. Some of the behavior that they were observing, like the way the cat was slowly blinking. I was like, okay,
slow blink, right?
Yeah, slow blink and the narrowing of the eyes, kind of thing. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have that whole positive attention on something else when they're doing something bad. It's like, they're clawing at my leg. It's like, "Oh, look at the toy." You're going, "Ah, my leg!
I know.
Stop clawing
Oh
my."
no. Well, that's the one thing. To be honest with you, that's the one thing I really don't like about cats is the claws.
Yeah.
It's just that they jump in your lap, or they're sitting in your lap, and then they jump out all of a sudden. It's like, yikes!
You
Yeah,
gotta keep them trimmed.
I don't
Yep.
want sharp things here. So
Yep.
yes, I know. Yeah. So that's really the thing I don't care about cats about. But
If you're
as
a cat
far as
owner, I strongly recommend this show. If you're thinking
yeah,
about getting a cat,
sure.
I strongly recommend the show. If you have no interest in cats, don't bother, other than
Yeah,
maybe
or
cute.
you love dogs.
Eh.
I did,
Alright,
I noticed they didn't have it inside the mind of dogs.
that's because there's already a ton of dog research out there. This is the point of
I
this
know.
was there isn't much cat research, so we're gonna tell you what we found so far.
Right.
Alright, moving right along, the,
Yes.
theme of classics continues. I went back and watched The Sting with Robert
Okay.
Redford and Paul
Yeah.
Newman and Robert, oh, come on, the guy from Jaws, what's his name? I just had it on the tip of my tongue, I'll
See, when
remember.
you ask me, I
The
can't
old
recall them.
the
But
old the old the old captain of the Orca, you know who I'm talking. Richard
yeah.
Not Richard, Robert. Anyway, good show. It was a little confusing. I remember watching it once long ago, but I remember almost nothing about it, except the characters. There are a few points where they're really throwing around the 1920s lingo, and, like, I have no idea what they just said, but it didn't really stop the story from moving along. It's a fun story about trying to, scam a guy out of a lot of money,
Mhm.
and they run into a few sticklers. There's a great twist at the end. Not gonna spoil it if you haven't
It's
seen
like,
it.
"There's spoilers
Yeah,
from
only
1973."
50 years later.
Right.
Not gonna do a
Right.
spoiler. And then, the 3rd one that I watched was Troy with Brad Pitt from 2009.
Right, I remember that. I don't think I've watched it, but I remember yes. How was it?
And if you remember last summer, I was watching, Great Greek Myths. So I was learning
Yep.
my, characters of, this is Hercules, and this is Zeus,
Yeah.
and this is Hera, etcetera, etcetera. And then I also listened to the audiobook of the Iliad and the Odyssey, so it felt like I was pretty well versed for an American on Greek mythology. They had none of it.
Oh,
The
really?
story of the Battle of Troy, obviously, it's a 10-year battle. Uh, they had the characters, and they moved it right along. It was about 2.5-hour movie, so they had to, but they gave no sense of how much time had passed. But,
Uh,
they did things in the right order. I if you this one I probably will do a
ah,
spoiler because it's thousands of years old.
well, actually, it's funny you say that because, also in Lord of the Rings, there was time jumps for the movie's sake that
Yes.
weren't in the book. I mean, I'm sorry, other way around. So there were time jumps in the movie, but there were long distances of time in the book. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and yet the movie was still really long.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the runtime.
I
I
mean, they
mean,
they they got
yeah,
they got the majority of the facts straight, so whatever was in there, but they didn't bring in any of the mythology other than mentioning Apollo once in a while. I really wanted to see, uh, Achilles with his new armor and shield made
okay.
by Hephaestus.
Hmm.
But since, they didn't ever jump to the mythical side, they just said, "Oh, he ruined the temple of Apollo. Apollo will have its retribution." Like, yeah, that's about as light as they got. But in terms of, um, the whole Trojan horse story and, um, Patroclus putting on Achilles' armor, getting killed by Hector, Hector being fooled, he goes, "I thought I was killing Achilles." And then Achilles taking his retribution and killing Hector, and then Paris killing Achilles. So they got the right elements in there, and of course, it was very dramatic, very gory, very gory. Um,
Hmm.
it was well done. I mean, it was visually well done. The story was largely based on the gore and the story around Achilles. which
Oh,
I can see. Brad Pitt,
his
he's the major character.
his heel.
They didn't even mention Cassandra at all, but they
Hmm.
did have
Right.
Briseis. 'Cause
Okay.
so, I mean, I'm gonna kill you with all the details and then make you go, "Who's that and where did they go?" Um, but I mean, it was fun to watch. It was a little long in my opinion, but, not bad. Not a bad
Yeah.
movie.
So when you listen to the audiobook of the Iliad and Odyssey, who narrated? What was it Homer?
Um,
Did they bring him back
it was Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Pierce unleashed his bro, and it went right through his heel. Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Because
Yeah.
Achilles was only dipped in the river Styx, because his mother held him by the heel. Oh!
Uh,
All right, that's the last Homer
all right, let's
impersonation I'll be
let's
doing.
bust through these last 3 things and let's get out of here because
Yes,
these are
because we are at a long show. So real
yeah.
quickly, there's a fun little video diagram that linked in here. It says, "What kind of sorcery is this?" Guy drew a few lines on some grid paper and then folded the paper at a 90-degree angle. And when you move the camera around, suddenly it becomes a 3D cube, like it's sticking out of the paper somehow. So it's a neat
It's
little
pretty
visual.
cool. It's pretty cool.
Okay, you might want to fix that. I am pretty stupid.
That was the title.
Okay, I think
I
they
didn't
spelled
type it in.
sorcery wrong, but somebody fixed that too.
No, I cut and paste these things. I don't
All right,
feel like
there's another article about a gentleman living in Manhattan who disconnected from the electric grid for 8 months.
I thought
And
this was
and
kinda
it's
interesting
this was a
read.
fun story about, how did I had to get solar panels, and he changed his entire lifestyle. Like, I got rid of my TV because watching movies was a waste of time, and now I'm volunteering more in the community, etcetera. So, I mean, it was a whole lifestyle change, learned a whole bunch of new skills, cooking food from scratch. I don't know how he stored anything because he said, "The one appliance that I can't do without is
Yeah.
my pressure cooker because I can get 5 meals out of it." If you don't have
Mhm.
a fridge, dude, where's your food going? A cooler? I don't know. It didn't make
Or
any sense.
or do you go out to the and buy it as needed?
He did have one cheat that he said. He went into the office, and that's where he would, because his charger would get his laptop and his phone so far, but it wouldn't get him, like, through a whole day, or if there were interruptions like, "Hey, it's a cloudy day," or "It rained for 3 days," you're kinda boned. So he would go into
Yeah.
work and then charge that way. So that was his crutch that he admitted to.
"Hey, hey, y'all need to turn the power off on here. You know what I'm trying to do?"
And then, Craig, you mentioned earlier about the Pine-Sol, which
Yeah,
is a play on words for the pencil. It's a
yeah.
tiny little DIY, not I wouldn't say it's DIY because you don't assemble it yourself. It comes fully assembled. It's like a $45
It's a product you
little
buy. Yeah.
a little larger than a pencil soldering iron, and some of the attributes they said on here were really cool. Like, you could exchange the tips really fast because it heats up in about 7 seconds and it cools down really fast too. It's got a
Yeah.
sleep mode. So I may look into this. It might be a birthday present coming up.
That is a pretty cool product. I seriously want one. Like I said, I don't solder that much, but I find this fascinating. Plus,
Yep.
I like the spin up and spin down, and the smart part of it, where, like you said, it kind of will turn itself off, and that kind of stuff.
And it's
This is
cordless.
great.
I mean, it's got a
Cordless.
USB-C charger in it, and if you need more energy, you can always hook it up to a battery pack.
Yeah.
So,
See,
I thought that was fascinating.
I think it's fantastic. I'd love to have one of these.
Maybe I can see if work will buy me one. Put that on the
Hmm.
bill of materials. I'm gonna need a soldering iron to put all those circuits on the printed circuit board.
Chuck, I think you got a misspelling here. It says pencil.
Just so they correct it and get me a pencil.
Here's your number 2, Stadler.
I'm gonna run this one past Jason too, see what he thinks. If he jumps on it,
I
I'll
bet he will. I
request
bet
one.
$20 says he
Oddly
orders one.
enough, the pictures they show are not the ones they have on the product page. I clicked through and went, "Where's the one that we saw?" And they
Yeah.
showed kind of a clear case with a little different
Um,
configuration, and then I went and looked at the one that they're actually selling. Looks a little more professional in my opinion.
maybe the one that was in the article is a early
Prototype?
release.
Could be,
Doesn't
could be.
matter. I think it's cool.
All right, about $45 for this soldering iron, which isn't bad when you look at the price
Well,
of
I
traditional
also
soldering
like the
irons too.
USB-C part. You can just, because you could have a battery, and
Right.
backup. You could take this and use it in your car.
Yep.
Why not?
Alrighty, let's round them out. Question of the week: what's a hobby that you'll never understand? Oh boy. This ought to be interesting. Do
I
you have any
collect
off the top of
mold,
your head?
spores, and fungus.
Where's that from? Oh, that was
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. That was
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. As soon as the words came out of my mouth, I'm like, it clicked. Now, hobby doesn't necessarily mean collection either. It could be,
Yeah.
just something you do. It could be gardening,
Sure.
could be fishing. I'm not sure I completely understand fishing. I've done fishing, but it doesn't
Oh,
make me want to go
really?
back and do it more.
Oh, I love fishing.
I
It's
don't
fun.
completely understand. I was collecting something. What was it?
Stamps.
No, not stamp. I understand stamp collecting.
Oh, no, I'm kidding with that.
I'll figure it out later. But yeah, that's our question for you. We'll have it on social media next weekend, so you can answer for us, and we will talk to you in about a
Wait,
week.
wait a minute.
Yes,
Podcasting.
I'll never understand that.
I'll never understand that.
I was just telling my brother about that little this afternoon. The promo that Dr. Michio Kaku made. That's 2 references to in one podcast now.
Oh, yeah.
Where he says,
says-
Dr. Michio Kaku, theoretical physicist and author of the book Physics of the Impossible. And even I can't figure out Technorama.
I love that. I love that.
Oops,
Yes.
that's the wrong exit intro. There we go.
Yeah.
Man, it feels like we took a week off, but we did not. If you want to get in touch with us, Craig's going to put the information at the bottom of the screen for our viewers. And for our listeners, I will read it to you. The phone number is 707-530-2428. It's been that for at least 5-6 years. Don't use
800
the old
years.
503K7 number. Don't worry. They both end
Yeah.
the same way. Update your directory if you haven't done so already. 707-530-2428. Call us, text us. Don't send a fax. Ain't going to happen.
No.
Or you can email us, technorama@chuckchat.com. It works because I know I got a StreamYard code sent to that email address tonight. You can find us by looking for Technorama Podcast anywhere on the internet. Put in your favorite search engine. You're going to come across something we do somewhere, sometime.
Yeah.
Until next time, Craig, give us a binary high five.
All right. 101.
Audio recording is concluded, and we are going to stop our video recording soon and get on with our Patreon show. Yes.
By the way, look, I don't know why I had to do this, but if you look down in our show notes, it says, how about a donation in the tip jar? I had to put a
Do
period.
we still have the tip jar in there? Oh my gosh.
Look, I had to put, how about a donation in the tip jar? I don't know why. I had to do that. I don't know why. I'm getting silly.
Yes, he is. That must mean it's time for us to sign off the live stream. Thanks for joining us. Really
Yes, thank you,
appreciate
everybody.
it. I know it was a bit longer than usual show, and we will talk to you again next week. So smile and wave, boys.